Are some of you guys that desperate to find something to hate? I understand that there are flaws, which I will talk about later, but there is nothing in this show to justify any of the hate that the Acolyte is getting. Welcome to Sandwich Reviews. I'm the Talking Sentient Sandwich, and no one can take away from how I've been enjoying watching this show. It's certainly no Andor, but nothing in Star Wars is, and I certainly didn't expect it to be. Every 10 or so years, something comes along that breaks the Star Wars canon so much that it will never be fixed again. This is always happening and will continue to happen as long as people profit from these Star Wars projects. And I hate to break it to you, but hate watching something and then posting about how deplorable the writing is now that it's woke isn't going to stop these people from profiting off of you. If anything, you're helping them by giving them free publicity. But that's beside the point, because along with that, fans have been complaining that the actors working on this show don't understand Star Wars lore. And for that, I'll just leave you with this one clip.
Did you shoot Greedo first, or did Greedo shoot you first?
I don't care.
And that's only the superficial details that bigots have latched onto. Though I will bring up some superficial stuff later, if we look at what the show actually is, it's not hard to find numerous open and shut examples of something minor happening and fans screaming into the internet that it has ruined Star Wars. First off, if you watched the first episode, saw a fire in space, and then proceeded to claim that it took you out of the show, I can't help but ask, why now? This topic has been talked to death online, but I have to point out that George Lucas didn't care a single bit about real-life physics. If it helped tell the story to the audience, it was put in the movie. And that crackling campfire sound that people have been so quick to question was clearly just something that the main character was hearing to relate to the traumatic past memory that she was recalling. I just don't know how you can possibly have a problem with that scene. And that's only a trivial and specific moment that people are eager to point out when claiming this show is bad. From what we've gotten so far, which at time of recording is only up to episode 4, I've seen plenty of problems, but none have to do with physics, because that's just ridiculous. When someone says that the sets, costumes, and makeup look cheap, I can't deny that they have a point. But even with that, I'm still there for every new episode. I'll also be the first to admit that sometimes the characters in the Acolyte seem one-note or uninspired, spouting off some ridiculously wild line barely hidden as exposition that no one in their right mind could recite. But that's what Star Wars has always been. I remember a specific quote from Harrison Ford saying of George Lucas's writing, "You can write this stuff, but I can't say it." That's no excuse for the Acolyte. The writing should be better, but if you look back to the very beginning, none of it has ever been award-winning. Except for Andor. Andor is incredible. I'm sorry I keep bringing up Andor in a video that has nothing to do with it, but have you seen it? That prison arc. God. But I'm not here to talk about Andor. Today, I'm here to talk about what we've seen so far of the Acolyte, and to me, it's the same quality as Ahsoka or Obi-Wan. And I'm not saying those three are all on equal footing entirely, because they each have their ups and downs, but from what I've seen, I'm enjoying the Acolyte just as much as the other two. To put it simply, if the Acolyte's finale is half as entertaining as Obi-Wan's, I'll be satisfied. But that's when you compare the show to Disney's other recent, lackluster releases. Does the Acolyte hold up on its own? Yes, I think it does. And that's not just thanks to the time period it's set in. That comes wholly from the writers being able to shape the narrative around new people and mysteries. And yet, when the writers did attempt to add a familiar face into this age's Jedi Order, some people were not happy. To be fair, his appearance did contradict some lines he and other Jedi have, seemingly making the whole Jedi Order consist of idiots or liars in the prequels. But isn't that also the point of why George Lucas made the prequel trilogy? In fact, nothing in Star Wars has ever claimed that the Jedi are infallible. If anything, George Lucas especially has gone out of his way to describe how vain and ignorant the Order has been throughout the ages. Besides, that's not even what people are angry about. It was Conehead's changed date of birth that has had some fans spewing fire. Because for Ki-Adi-Mundi to logically appear in the High Republic, his birthday had to be changed in the Wikipedia database. I'm mainly referencing one person who is so angry that he's suing that database, though I can't help but think about how publicized this issue has become. Honestly, it's easy to tell how all these people are only posting these hateful videos or suing databases because it gets clicks and generates revenue for their channel. Otherwise, no one would kick up all this fuss. And I am partially guilty of that. The only reason I'm making this video is to put out something that's topical and gets a lot of views. But I'm not going to spend hours of my time writing and editing a video about something as inconsequential as a side character showing up and nullifying a minor detail from before. Even if Ki-Adimundi's appearance truly was an affront to everything George Lucas has made, who cares? I'm invested in the mystery of what happened to May and Osha as children. Why would I ever bother to think about Ki-Adimundi and whether he should or shouldn't be in the background for 30 seconds? If anything is going to take me out, it's going to be the third episode. No, not like that. It was Osha's child actor whose acting just wasn't great. Her twin counterpart gave a much more natural performance, but even she wasn't perfect, because there was a flip out of nowhere where she decides to burn her sister to death. Though that more comes down to the writing than the performances, and I still think there is more to the narrative there. Either way, it almost took me out of that episode, but thankfully, Jodie Turner-Smith, who played the matriarch of this sect of the Night Sisters, brought it back completely. And the way that episode set up the further mystery of what exactly happened there was really well done. And I guess that leads to another talking point that people have been complaining about, and that's how this episode is lore-breaking. Dave Filoni had already expanded upon the Witches of Dathomir in a bunch of other Star Wars projects, and no one even batted an eye at that. Is it that hard to accept that there used to be a separate group of Force users with a different understanding of what that Force is? We already know there are other people besides the Jedi who can use it. Wouldn't it make sense that another Force-using society would come to their own conclusions when it came to the universe? And nothing they say makes the Jedi evil or wrong. It just shows that there are multiple perspectives and viewpoints, which if there weren't, the universe would just feel small. Plus, the writing in the Acolyte never endorses this society and claims that if they were in charge, everything would be perfect and peaceful. And whatever they did can't nullify or erase anything that other people have done with the Force, because it's just another thing that has happened. Now, depending on when I'm able to post this, you've probably already seen episode 5, but for now, all I've seen is up to 4. And truthfully, I'll admit that I was pissed when it ended. Seeing that Sith float down like a boss was awesome, but that greatness was cut short by the credits, and let me tell you, I was genuinely angry that it ended like that. What a cheap cliffhanger. But Ahsoka did that exact same thing many, many times, and cliffhangers do always get me pumped for the next episode's release. Though it did get me thinking about the fate of some of the characters for the next episode, because I'm assuming, more hoping, that we'll get a big battle. And Sol saying that he'll explain everything when they get back was signaling the biggest death flags in my mind. Sorry, man, you were a real one. I hate to see you go, but I can't imagine you lasting to the end of the next episode. But those are all my thoughts on the Acolyte so far, and I guarantee you I'm only seeing all of this drama because I'm terminally online. And anyone who's not is just going to enjoy the show for what it is, not considering any of these flaws, real or perceived. Because from what I've seen, the Acolytes is just fine, even bad at parts, but that's no reason for the hate that it's getting. If you agree, let me know down in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for weekly video essays and reviews, and enjoy a delicious sandwich.